The large screen in the United Nations Assembly Hall went dark for a moment before lighting up with an image that changed human history forever. On it appeared a being unlike anything seen on Earth. It had smooth blue skin, 4 eyes set in a diamond pattern, and spoke through what looked like gills on its neck. "People of Earth," it said in perfect English, "I am Ambassador Tark of the Galactic Council. We have been watching your world for many years. The time has come for formal contact." Gasps filled the hall. After centuries of wondering if aliens existed, humanity finally had its answer. 3 days later, Captain James Walker stood in the office of the UN Secretary General, his back straight, his uniform pressed perfectly. At 42, Walker had seen much in his years commanding the experimental ship Defiant *, but nothing like this. "Captain Walker, we've chosen you and your crew to represent Earth at the council meeting," the Secretary General said, sliding a folder across her desk. "You leave in 1 week." Walker opened the folder and frowned. "Ma'am, this says they're voting on whether to quarantine Earth or offer membership. What does that mean exactly?" "It means, Captain, that some of them see us as a threat." She sighed. Their message was polite but clear. They're concerned about our aggressive tendencies, as they called it. Walker's ship, the Defiant *, sat in orbit above Earth. It was humanity's most advanced vessel, built with technology that had taken decades to develop. As Walker floated through its corridors toward the bridge, he thought about the weight on his shoulders. The fate of humanity might depend on what he and his crew did next. "Status report," he said as he strapped into the captain's chair. "All systems ready, sir," replied Lieutenant Lisa Reed from the pilot's seat. Her fingers danced across the controls with practiced ease. "The alien coordinates are locked in. We can jump when ready." Engineer Marcus Bennett looked up from his station. "Captain, I still don't trust their jump gate technology. They're asking us to use a system we don't understand." "Noted, Bennett." Walker nodded. "But we have little choice. The alternative is to spend 30 years getting there by conventional drive." Dr. Anna Thompson, the ship's xenobiologist, joined them on the bridge. Her eyes were bright with excitement. "Can you believe it, Captain? Over 100 different alien species will be at this council. The scientific opportunities alone are secondary to our mission, Doctor," Walker cut in gently. "Remember, some of these beings want to lock our entire planet away from the rest of the galaxy. We need to focus on preventing that." Thompson's smile faded. "Yes, sir." As the crew made final preparations, Walker received one last transmission from Earth. It was a private message from the Secretary General. "Captain," she said, her voice low and serious, "we've intercepted some Council communications. The Draz Empire, one of the most powerful members, is pushing hardest for our quarantine. They see our rapid advancement as a direct threat to their control of this sector. Be careful." Walker acknowledged the message and turned to face his crew. 5 humans against a galaxy that feared them. The odds weren't good. "All hands," he announced over the ship-wide system. "Prepare for jump. We're about to make history." The Defiant approached the coordinates where the Council's jump gate would activate. Space in front of them suddenly twisted and stretched, forming a swirling tunnel of blue and white energy. "Take us in, Lieutenant Reed," Walker ordered. As the ship entered the wormhole, Walker gripped his armrests. Earth grew smaller behind them, while ahead lay an uncertain future among the stars. The true nature of humanity was about to be tested on the galactic stage. He just hoped they were ready. The Defiant emerged from the jump gate with a flash of light. Through the main view screen, the crew saw their destination, a massive ring-shaped station orbiting a pulsing neutron star. The structure was enormous, easily 10 times the size of Earth's largest space station. "My God," whispered Lieutenant Reed as she stabilized their approach. "It's beautiful." Captain Walker nodded but kept his face neutral. "Remember, we're here on business, not a sightseeing trip." "Bennett, scan the station. Thompson, prepare your first contact protocols." "Already scanning, Captain," said Bennett, his eyes fixed on his console. "I'm detecting at least 50 different atmosphere types in separate sections, and the power readings are off the charts. This place could power all of Earth for a century." A voice came through their communication system. "Human vessel asterisk, defiant asterisk. Follow the guidance beam to docking bay 17. Deviation will be considered hostile action." "Friendly bunch," muttered Reed as she carefully guided the ship along the indicated path. When they docked, Walker led his small team, Reed, Bennett, Thompson, and security officer Lieutenant Alex Rivera, to the airlock. They wore their formal uniforms rather than spacesuits. The Council had assured them the station's entry area was adapted to human biology. As the outer door opened, they faced their first aliens in person. Two tall, thin beings with gray skin and elongated limbs stood waiting. Behind them were four squat creatures covered in what looked like metal plates. "I am Vex, your guide," said one of the tall beings. "Follow me to the preparation chamber. The council session begins in 3 hours." Walker noted how the armored beings kept their appendages near what he guessed were weapons. They were clearly guards and not friendly ones. The station's corridors were filled with beings of all shapes and sizes. Some floated in the air, others slithered along the floor. Many stopped to stare at the humans with expressions ranging from curiosity to open disgust. "They're looking at us like we're animals in a zoo," Rivera whispered. "Stay focused," Walker reminded him. Vex led them to a large room with a viewing window that looked out onto the council chamber itself, a vast amphitheater with hundreds of platforms arranged in circles. Each platform held delegates from different worlds. "Wait here until summoned," Vex said before leaving. As soon as they were alone, Thompson rushed to a computer terminal. "Captain, this is amazing. Look at this directory. 118 species in the Council." Walker was about to respond when the doors opened again. A being unlike any they'd seen entered. It was tall, with skin that shifted colors like oil on water. 4 arms extended from its torso, and its head was crowned with what looked like crystal growths. "I am Mox, Grand Arbiter of the Council," it said in a deep, resonating voice. "You are the first humans to stand before us. I must warn you, this will not be a simple diplomatic meeting." Walker stepped forward. "We understand the Council has concerns about Earth. We're here to address them." Mox's skin darkened. "Some members wish to contain your species before you become a greater threat. The Draz Empire leads this faction, and they are powerful." "And what do you think?" asked Walker. "I reserve judgment until all evidence is presented," Mox replied. "But know this, you face trials designed to expose your true nature. Trials few new species pass." After Mox left, Bennett turned to Walker. "Captain, I don't like this. They've already decided against us." Walker looked through the window at the gathering council members. He spotted a group with red-scaled skin and elaborate armor. The Draz, he guessed. They were larger than most other species and seemed to command respect through fear. "Maybe they have," Walker said, "but we're still going to show them exactly who humans really are." A chime sounded, and the doors to the chamber opened. "Looks like we're on," said Walker, straightening his uniform. "Remember why we're here. The future of Earth depends on what happens next." Together, the 5 humans walked into the council chamber as hundreds of alien eyes turned to watch them. The council chamber fell silent as the 5 humans walked to the central platform. Captain Walker stood tall, facing the curved rows of alien delegates that rose up around them like a great wall. "Humans of Earth," Mox announced, his voice echoing. "You stand before the Galactic Council to prove your worthiness. You will face 3 trials. First, the trial of minds. Second, the trial of ethics. Third, the trial of cooperation." From the Draz section, a large red-scaled being stood up. "I am General Cragg of the Draz Empire. I move that we skip these formalities. Their history speaks for itself. War, destruction, division. They will fail." Murmurs of agreement spread through the chamber. Walker stepped forward. We accept any challenge. Judge us by what we do here, not by your assumptions. Very well, said Mox. The trial of minds begins now. The central platform suddenly lit up with holographic symbols and equations that swirled around the humans. This puzzle has stumped many advanced species, Mox explained. It requires understanding complex dimensional mathematics. You have 1 hour. Bennett studied the symbols. Captain, this is like nothing I've seen before. Dr. Thompson joined him. Wait, these patterns remind me of something. She turned to Reed. Remember your navigation training. How space folds during a jump. Reed's eyes widened. Yes, it's similar. She started moving symbols around in the hologram. Walker watched his crew work together, each bringing different knowledge. Rivera provided a military perspective on spatial formations, Bennett applied engineering principles, and Thompson connected biological patterns to the mathematical ones. With 2 minutes remaining, Reed placed the final symbol. The hologram flashed green. Across the chamber, aliens gasped. Impossible, hissed General Cragg. They cheated. We did not detect any unauthorized communication, Mox stated. They have passed the first trial faster than any species in 300 cycles. Without pause, Mox continued. The trial of ethics will now begin. The hologram changed to show 2 scenarios. In one, Earth received advanced technology that would cure all diseases, but would require sharing complete military data with the Council. In the other, Earth remained technologically limited but completely independent. Choose, ordered Mox. Walker studied both options, then looked at his crew. There must be another way, he said quietly. There is no other option, Mox insisted. Walker faced the Council. Then we propose a third option. We will develop our own cures through cooperation with willing Council members. We offer cultural exchange instead of technology transfer. We keep our independence while building trust. Silence filled the chamber. Then a small insect-like being buzzed forward on delicate wings. I am Queen Ziv of the Thrall. The human solution is unexpected. They refuse the trap of false choices. This shows wisdom. Mox nodded slowly. The second trial is passed. General Cragg slammed his fist down. This is outrageous. The final trial will expose their true nature. For the trial of cooperation, the humans were separated and placed in chambers with hostile alien species known for their distrust of others. Dr. Thompson found herself with the insect-like Thrall. At first, they kept their distance, clicking their mandibles suspiciously. I understand your caution, Thompson said gently. May I share something about Earth insects? They're small but accomplish amazing things through working together. She showed them images of beehives and ant colonies from her datapad. The Thrall moved closer, fascinated by these Earth creatures that resembled them. By the time the trial ended, Thompson had formed a genuine connection with the Thrall. Similar successes happened with the other crew members. When they returned to the central platform, even Mox seemed surprised. You have accomplished what we thought impossible, he admitted. You have passed all 3 trials. The chamber erupted in mixed reactions, some cheering, some protesting. General Cragg stood fuming, his scales darkening with rage. This proves nothing, he shouted. More tests are needed. As debate broke out among the council members, Walker caught Thompson's eye. She was talking animatedly with Queen Ziv, who seemed genuinely interested in learning more about Earth. For the first time since arriving, Walker felt a small spark of hope. The council had recessed for 6 hours after the trials. Captain Walker and his crew were given a small chamber to rest and prepare for the final vote on Earth's fate. We did well, said Lieutenant Reed, stretching her tired muscles. They have to see we're not what they feared. Engineer Bennett wasn't convinced. Did you see General Cragg's face? He's not changing his mind. Dr. Thompson, your connection with the Thrall could be valuable, Walker said. Queen Ziv seems to respect you. Thompson nodded. The Thrall are fascinating. They value harmony and collective wisdom. They could be strong allies. Lieutenant Rivera, who had been watching a monitor showing the station's public areas, suddenly straightened. "Captain, look at this." The screen showed 3 Draz soldiers entering a restricted section of the station. "That's near the main power core, according to the station map they gave us," Bennett said. Walker frowned. "Rivera, can you get a closer view?" "No, sir. The feed just cut out." A bad feeling settled in Walker's stomach. "Bennett, Thompson, with me. Reed, Rivera, stay here and monitor communications. If we're not back in 20 minutes, contact Mox." The 3 humans moved carefully through the station corridors. As they approached the power section, Bennett pulled out a small device. "I'm picking up unusual energy fluctuations," he whispered. "Something's not right." They found an access panel and Bennett quickly bypassed the lock. Inside, they discovered a maintenance tunnel that led toward the power core. "Captain," Thompson gasped, pointing ahead. Through a transparent section of wall, they could see the massive power core of the station, a swirling vortex of energy contained within crystalline structures. 3 Draz soldiers were attaching devices to the control systems. "What are they doing?" Thompson asked. Bennett scanned with his device. "Those look like overload inductors. They're going to cause a catastrophic failure." "And blame it on us," Walker realized. The perfect way to prove humans are dangerous. Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the station. The lights flickered, and the artificial gravity wavered, making them float momentarily before slamming back to the floor. "Too late," Bennett said grimly. "They've started it." They rushed back to the main corridors, which were now filled with panicking aliens. Many pointed accusingly at the humans. "The humans did this," a Draz official shouted above the chaos. "Their ship must have planted explosives." Walker grabbed a communication panel on the wall. "This is Captain Walker of Earth. Everyone remain calm. This is Sabotage, but not by us. We need to evacuate the affected sections." Few seemed to listen. The station shuddered violently, throwing everyone off balance. "Bennett, what's our time frame?" Walker asked. "If those were what I think they were, we have maybe 30 minutes before the containment field collapses. When that happens, the station is destroyed," Walker finished. "And with it, any chance of Earth joining the Council." They made it back to their chamber, where Reed and Rivera waited anxiously. "Captain, the Threll have been trying to contact us," Reed said. "Queen Ziv wants to speak with Dr. Thompson." As Thompson took the call, Walker made a decision. "We could try to reach our ship and leave," Rivera suggested. "We have proof of Draz involvement from your scanner, Bennett." Walker shook his head. "And who would believe us?" "No, we're not running." "Then what's the plan, Captain?" asked Reed. "We're going to save this station." Walker's voice was steady and determined. "Bennett, can you stop the power core collapse?" "Maybe with help, but we'd need access to the main engineering section, and they'll never let us in there now." Thompson rejoined them, her eyes bright with excitement. "The Threll believe us. Queen Ziv says her people detected unusual Draz activity before the alarms. She's offering to help." Another violent shake rocked the station. Through the window, they could see sections of the outer ring beginning to break apart. Walker looked at his crew. "Let's show the Council what humans really do in a crisis." The station's emergency systems blared warnings in dozens of languages. Sections of the massive structure were already losing atmosphere. Aliens rushed in every direction, some fighting each other to reach escape pods. Captain Walker gathered his crew in a tight circle. "Here's the plan. Bennett, you and I will head to the main power core. We need to stabilize it before it completely fails." "That area is heavily damaged, Captain," Bennett warned. "We'll need spacesuits. Thompson, go with Queen Ziv and the Threll. Help evacuate the species that can't move quickly on their own." Thompson nodded. "The Threll know this station well. They can guide us to the vulnerable populations. Reed, Rivera, set up an emergency command center here. Coordinate evacuation efforts and keep track of everyone's positions." Walker checked his communicator. "We stay in constant contact. If anyone discovers more Draz sabotage, report it immediately. As they prepared to split up, Grand Arbiter Mox appeared at their door, his color-shifting skin now pale and dim. "You are leaving?" he asked, his voice heavy with accusation. "No," Walker said firmly. "We're organizing rescue teams. The power core can still be stabilized, but we need to act fast." Mox studied Walker's face. "Many believe your kind caused this, and we'll prove them wrong by saving lives," Walker replied. "Will you help us or stand in our way?" After a moment's hesitation, Mox nodded. "What do you need?" "Station schematics, access codes, and an announcement declaring a state of emergency, not blaming anyone yet." Minutes later, the teams dispersed. Walker and Bennett made their way toward the damaged power core, dodging falling debris and helping injured aliens they encountered. "Captain, look," Bennett pointed to a group of Draz blocking their path. "They're guarding the access corridor." Walker approached openly, hands visible. "We're here to help stabilize the core." "Let us through." The Draz leader sneered. "Humans are not permitted. Leave now." A violent explosion rocked the station. The lights went out completely before emergency systems kicked in with a dim glow. "There's no time for this," Walker said. "Your people will die too if that core explodes." Another voice joined the conversation. "Let them pass." It was a tall, elegant alien with luminous skin that Walker recognized as an elder from the Council's inner circle. The Draz hesitated but stepped aside. The elder nodded to Walker. "I watched your trials. Now I will watch your actions." Meanwhile, Dr. Thompson and Queen Ziv led a team of Threll through the living quarters, where several small, slug-like creatures were struggling to reach safety. "The Mu cannot move quickly," Ziv explained. "They are brilliant philosophers, but physically vulnerable." Thompson carefully lifted several Mu, placing them in a transport container. "We'll get them all out," she promised. In another section, Reeve and Rivera had transformed their chamber into a coordination center. Using the station's communication system, they directed rescue teams and tracked dangerous structural failures. "Section 42 is about to decompress," Reed announced. "All rescue teams, clear that area now." Rivera managed the incoming reports. "We have 17 species confirming assistance. The Threll are leading evacuation efforts on the outer ring. Even some Draz are helping now." At the power core, Walker and Bennett worked feverishly. The core's containment field flickered dangerously as energy surged in chaotic patterns. "We need to manually reset the stabilizers," Bennett shouted over the roar of escaping energy. "But they're on the other side of that radiation field." Walker looked at the deadly barrier. "Is there a suit that can protect against that?" Bennett shook his head. "Not completely. A few minutes of exposure is survivable. But someone has to do it," Walker finished. He began putting on the heaviest radiation suit available. "Captain." "No." "That's an order, Bennett. Keep working on the bypass system from here. If I don't make it back, you take command." Walker stepped into the radiation field, feeling its heat even through the protective suit. The station's fate, and possibly Earth's future, now depended on what he did next. Captain Walker's hands shook as he worked to reset the stabilizers inside the radiation field. His vision was already beginning to blur. The first sign of radiation poisoning. The suit's alarm beeped constantly, warning that he had less than 2 minutes before receiving a lethal dose. "Status, Bennett," Walker called through his communicator. "Almost there, Captain. The bypass is at 80%. Just 30 more seconds on your end." Walker's fingers felt numb as he connected the final circuits. The power core's wild fluctuations began to slow, its angry red glow fading to a steadier blue. "It's working," Bennett shouted. "Get out of there now." Walker turned, but his legs buckled beneath him. The radiation had weakened him faster than expected. He fell to his knees, the exit seeming impossibly far away. Suddenly, 2 figures in protective suits burst through the doorway and rushed toward him. To Walker's shock, They weren't human. They were Draz soldiers. "What are you doing?" Walker gasped as they lifted him between them. "Following orders," one replied gruffly. "General Cragg would prefer you die by his hand, not like this." They dragged Walker from the radiation zone just as Bennett finished the bypass. The core's energy settled into a stable pattern, and the station's violent shaking subsided. Meanwhile, in the residential sectors, Dr. Thompson and Queen Ziv had gathered hundreds of vulnerable aliens in a large sanctuary area. Thompson tended to injuries while the Thrall provided food and comfort to the frightened refugees. "Your knowledge of different biologies is impressive," Queen Ziv observed as Thompson treated a wounded Mu. "On Earth, we have millions of species," Thompson explained. "Different, yet connected. It taught us to look for similarities beneath the differences." A commotion at the entrance drew their attention. A group of council members from various species arrived, led by the elder who had helped Walker earlier. "We came to assist," the elder announced. "Many of us now recognize that we were mistaken about humans." In the emergency command center, Reed and Rivera were surprised when their communication system suddenly expanded to include feeds from all over the station. "We've been granted full access to the station's systems," Reed said in disbelief. A message appeared on their screen from Mox. "Coordinate all rescue efforts. We trust your judgment." Rivera looked at Reed with amazement. 24 hours ago, they wanted to quarantine our entire planet. Now they're putting the fate of the station in our hands. As news spread that humans had stabilized the core and were leading rescue operations, more aliens volunteered to help. Species that had been traditional enemies worked side by side, following the humans' example. Even some Draz joined the effort, though General Cragg and his senior officers were noticeably absent. "The Draz command shuttle is preparing to depart," reported a Thrall scout to Rivera. "They're abandoning the station." Rivera immediately contacted Walker, who had been moved to a medical bay where radiation treatment was being administered by reluctant but effective Draz medical staff. "Captain, General Cragg is trying to escape. He's likely taking evidence of the sabotage with him." Despite his weakened state, Walker sat up. "We can't let him leave. Not just for justice, but because he might try this again elsewhere." To everyone's surprise, the Draz doctor attending Walker removed a small device from his uniform. "This contains proof of the General's orders. He dishonors our people with these tactics." Word of the General's betrayal spread quickly. When Cragg and his officers reached their shuttle, they found their path blocked not just by humans, but by a coalition of species, including their own Draz soldiers. "What is this?" Cragg demanded, his scales flaring in anger. "This," said Walker, limping forward with Bennett's support, "is what happens when you underestimate not just humans, but every species capable of recognizing right from wrong." Cragg looked around at the unified opposition. Thrall, Mu, elders, and even his own Draz troops standing together. For the first time, real fear showed in his eyes. "Take them into custody," Walker said. "The Council will decide their fate." 3 days after the crisis, the Galactic Council reconvened in a repaired section of the station. The massive chamber was more crowded than before, with many species sending additional representatives to witness the historic session. Captain Walker and his crew stood at the center platform, still showing signs of their ordeal. Walker's skin was pale from the radiation treatment. Bennett's arm was in a sling, and Thompson looked exhausted from treating countless injured aliens. But they all stood tall, proud of what they had accomplished. Grand Arbiter Mox raised his 4 arms for silence. "This council session will now begin. Our first order of business is the fate of General Cragg and his conspirators." Cragg and 5 senior Draz officers were brought forward in energy restraints. Their scales were dull, a sign of shame in their culture. "The evidence is clear," Mox continued. "General Cragg orchestrated the sabotage of this station, endangering thousands of lives from over 100 species. The Draz Empire is hereby suspended from the Council for 5 cycles. General Cragg and his officers are sentenced to rehabilitation on the prison world of Nex. As the Draz were led away, Crag shot a final hateful glance at Walker. The captain simply nodded, offering neither mockery nor contempt, just acknowledgement. "Now to the matter of Earth," Mox said. The elder who had helped during the crisis stepped forward. "I propose that Earth be granted provisional membership in the Galactic Council, with Captain James Walker as its first representative." Murmurs filled the chamber. Queen Ziv buzzed her wings for attention. "The Threll colony supports this proposal. The humans have demonstrated exceptional qualities that would benefit our galactic community." One by one, representatives from different species stood to voice their support. Even a Draz official, one who had opposed Crag's methods, spoke in favor of Earth's membership. "We have witnessed something remarkable," the Draz said. "Humans do not seek dominance through force, but through cooperation. This is unexpected and worthy of respect." Walker looked at his crew, seeing the same surprise and hope in their eyes that he felt. After everything they had been through, could it really end this way? Mox's skin rippled with colors as he considered the council's mood. "It seems the consensus is clear. Earth will be granted provisional membership, to be reviewed after one cycle." The chamber erupted in approving sounds, chirps, growls, buzzes, and even some attempts at human applause. "Captain Walker," Mox continued when the noise subsided, "do you accept the position as Earth's representative?" Walker stepped forward. "I am honored, but this decision must be approved by Earth's governments. With your permission, we will return home to consult with our leaders." "Understood," Mox nodded. "The Defiant Asterisk will be escorted back to Earth by an honor guard of council ships. They will await your world's decision." As the session concluded, dozens of aliens approached the humans with offers of friendship, trade, and cultural exchange. Thompson was surrounded by scientists eager to learn about Earth's biodiversity. Bennett found himself deep in conversation with engineers about human innovations. Reed and Rivera received invitations to visit various worlds. "Quite a change from when we arrived," Walker said to Mox as they watched these interactions. "Indeed," Mox replied. "Many feared that your species' power lay in your technology or your capacity for violence. Now we understand that your true strength comes from something else entirely." "And what is that?" Walker asked. "Your remarkable ability to bring diverse groups together, to see possibilities where others see only problems, to risk everything to save even those who distrust you." Mox's colors shifted to a warm gold. "In all my centuries, I have rarely seen such a powerful force for change." As the humans prepared to return to their ship, they were no longer 5 isolated individuals in a hostile environment. They had become the center of a growing network of connections between worlds. The Defiant Asterisk departed the station with a message of hope for Earth. Humanity had found its place among the stars not through conquest or intimidation, but by revealing the true power that had always defined the best of what humans could be.